You've deconstructed your religious beliefs and superstitions. Maybe you've even deconverted. You've seen through the lies and now you're angry. Good. Now let's do something with it. And right on cue, here comes the believer saying, I knew it. You're just mad at God. You're bitter. You're just angry because you didn't get what you wanted. But here's the thing. We're not mad at God because we no longer believe there's a God to be mad at. We're mad because we trusted people. We're mad because we gave years of our lives to a system that manipulated our fears, stunted our thinking, and called it love. And the people who say you're just mad at God, they're not trying to understand. They're trying to discredit your clarity, to shrink your awakening into a tantrum. But here's the truth. Some of us should be angry. Angry that we were lied to, angry that our questions were called rebellion, angry that we were groomed to worship suffering, angry that we were told to die before we ever learned how to live. That anger isn't weakness. It isn't immaturity. It's a sign that something inside of you still knows you deserve better. And if that anger is rising in you now, good. We're going to talk about what to do with it, because it doesn't have to burn you alive. It can become your fuel. When people leave religion, especially something as consuming and controlling as Christianity, there's a kind of internal rupture. You don't just lose your beliefs, you lose your framework for life. You lose your community. Sometimes you lose your family. And when the fog clears, what's often left behind is rage. Rage at how deeply you believed, at how long you stayed, at how many red flags you ignored because they were in the Bible, at the people who lied to you and called it love. But let me say this clearly. Your anger is not a flaw. Your anger is not a failure. Your anger is a sign that you are awake. You are finally seeing what you were not allowed to see before. And your body, your mind, your emotions, they are catching up to that truth. That can feel overwhelming. It can feel like grief, confusion, betrayal. But for many of us, it starts with anger. And you know what? That anger is valid. You were manipulated through fear. You were taught that your questions were sins. You were led to believe your body was bad, your desires were dangerous, and your mind couldn't be trusted. You were discouraged from growing and trained to submit, not to love, but to control. If that doesn't make you angry, you haven't looked closely enough yet. So I want you to stop apologizing for your fire. It's not too much. It's not inappropriate. It's honest. And it's not permanent, but it is powerful. In the next section, I'm going to show you why your anger doesn't have to be your downfall. It can actually be your catalyst. And we'll back that up with real science, real psychology, and real world steps for turning it into something liberating. Here's what they never told us in church. Anger is not the enemy. It's a survival tool, a messenger, a fire alarm for your life. It shows up when something deeply personal has been violated. Your safety, your truth, your sense of self, your autonomy. According to psychologists like Dr. Harriet Lerner, anger is one of the most important emotions we have, not because it feels good, but because it points directly to the problem. Anger says, this is not okay. Something has been crossed. I matter enough to respond. And when you've been in a high control religion where you were trained to ignore your voice, your own desires, and your own instincts, anger is often the first sign that your inner compass is coming back online. Anger is not the opposite of peace. It's the body's way of alerting you that peace has been violated. In fact, studies from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology show that anger can actually improve motivation, persistence, and even creative problem solving. Think about that. The very emotion you were told to suppress might be the one your life has been waiting for. Dr. Marlene Weinell, who coined the term religious trauma syndrome, includes anger as a key part of recovery, not to be feared, but to be felt, understood, and harnessed. Because when you leave religion, you're not just shedding beliefs, you're breaking cycles of control. You're reclaiming your right to think, to feel, and to decide. And anger is the energy that helps you do that with conviction. You're not broken because you're angry. You're breaking free. You're not lost. You're locating your power. And that power, it's waiting for direction. So in the next section, I'm going to show you how to take that energy, that fire in your gut, and aim it with purpose, not to burn bridges, but to build a new life, one that's grounded in truth, choice, and freedom. So what do you do with all this anger? Because left alone, it can eat you alive. But when it's aimed, when it's named, when it's channeled, it becomes fuel, not to destroy, but to build. The first step is to name what you're really angry about and be honest about it. Not just, I'm mad at religion. Ask yourself, what specifically am I grieving? What belief, person, or moment hurt me the most? Where do I still feel that pain of betrayal? Research from trauma therapy shows that naming emotions helps integrate them into the brain, making them less overwhelming and easier to process. This is why journaling, voice notes, or even talking to a friend can be a game changer. You don't have to intellectualize everything. Sometimes your anger needs motion, not just meaning. Write about it, make art, dance it out, scream into a pillow, go lift something heavy. Studies in expressive writing and movement therapy show that when we externalize emotion, it creates emotional regulation and psychological resilience. Your body has held this for a long time. Let it release. Anger without direction is just chaos. Anger with direction, that's transformation. Ask yourself, what do I want to protect now? What lie do I want to dismantle? What truth do I want to amplify? What kind of life do I want to build that my old belief system would have hated? Anger becomes sustainable when it's tied to purpose, not just reaction. You can fight for justice, create content, help others heal, organize, mentor, vote differently, build differently, whatever. You're not stuck, you're sparked. And then a major thing is to build systems that your old self would have needed. You were trained to survive in silence. Now you can build spaces of truth where others don't have to go through what you did. Whether it's a community, a platform, a support group, or even just a conversation, your healing creates ripples. Sociologists call this post-traumatic growth. It's when people transform suffering into deepened purpose, stronger relationships, and greater clarity. And it starts exactly where you are. So no, you don't have to numb it, bury it, or shame it. You get to aim it with intention, with direction, with power. And when you do, your anger doesn't shrink you. It doesn't control you. It becomes the reason you got free and the force that helps someone else do the same. Speaking of helping others, did you know that ever since last March, we've been building a people-centric Sunday community based on a framework of music and conversation? It's called BridgeCity Global, and it's one of the most exciting projects that I'm working on right now. Every weekend, nearly 1,000 people engage our Sunday sessions where we explore topics and themes around personal growth and community development. Like right now, we're in a conversation series called Disagreement Therapy, where we're exploring ways to build with others even through disagreement. And then next weekend, we'll be starting a new series diving into how to breathe and grow through those happy little accidents in life. I hate to use the word testimonies for obvious reasons, but the proof is in the pudding. People from all across the globe, from Alabama to Australia and New York to Nigeria, are reclaiming their lives, liberty, and pursuit of happiness because we are intent on helping people find a better way to connect so that we can all keep rising together. So consider dropping in this weekend and find out what it feels like to be the bridge. No matter where you are on your journey, I promise you, there's a place for you here. Let's get back to this conversation and find out how anger can lead to freedom. Here's something nobody tells you when you're leaving religion. You're not the only one who's angry. You're just one of the first people brave enough to say it out loud. And whether you realized it or not, your courage, your clarity, your refusal to stay quiet about what you experienced, that's liberating for somebody else. There are people still inside the system, drowning in silence, feeling all the things you felt, but convinced that they're the only ones. They're gaslighting themselves, sitting in pews with rage in their chest and smiles on their faces, trying to be faithful when what they really need is to be free. And your voice might be the one that helps them feel less crazy. Your story might be the one that opens their cage. Social psychology and trauma research both confirm this. When people see someone else name a harm they've also experienced, it lowers internal shame and increases self-trust. This is why storytelling breaks cycles. It's why movement starts when one person finally says, no, this isn't okay. And I'm not afraid to say it. Your anger is not just energy, it's evidence, Proof that something real happened, that something harmful existed, and that someone survived it. So if you're in the process of healing, know that even when you don't feel strong or certain, your presence is still powerful. Just by standing in your truth, you make it safer for someone else to stand in theirs. That's not pressure, it's possibility, and it's powerful. Next, we'll land this with a final call, not one of shame, not one of fix your life and get over it, but one rooted in the truth we've been building this whole time. You were told to die, now it's time to live. If you've made it this far and there's still fire in you, good. That means you haven't gone numb. You're still here and you still care. You were told that anger was dangerous, that your rage made you bitter, that your doubts made you rebellious, that your questions made you weak. But now you know, your anger means you saw the truth. Your questions mean your mind still works. Your fire means that you never really gave in. It was James Baldwin who said it plainly. To be a black man in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a state of rage almost all the time. He, my friends, wasn't broken. He was awake. And he turned that rage into literature, activism, presence, and power. And maybe that's you now, not consumed by the flames, but made sharper by them, clear, focused, alive. The fire next time he talked about, maybe that could be you. And then there's Bruce Banner, the scientist, the Hulk. In the Avengers, someone asked him how he controls it, how he turns into the Hulk on command. He looks back and says, "That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry." That's what gave him control, not suppressing the rage, but making peace with it, owning it, channeling it, letting it rise when it was time to move. You are not broken, you were betrayed. And your anger, that's not proof of your failure. It's proof that you're finally healing on your own terms. You're not just moving on, you're rerouting evolutionary energy. You are the proof that survival is possible and that transformation is real. You don't have to carry that fire forever, but while it's with you, use it, aim it. Let it warm the life they tried to keep you from building. Let it remind you what survived. Let it sharpen your vision. Let it guide your steps. They told you to die quietly. You get to live loudly, fully, unapologetically, unashamedly, and without permission. You get to rise, not in spite of your anger, but because of what it helped you see, because of what it helped you accomplish. You're not just getting free, you're becoming someone worth following out of the fire. Listen, if you're enjoying these conversations, you're really getting something out of this, then I have to encourage you to check out our Sunday session series, which we do every week, our Bible study with an ex-pastor on Wednesdays. Also, check out my most recent video here, and you can catch me Monday through Friday on the Daily Atheist Morning Show. Thank you for hanging out with me, and until next time, keep rising.